Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with a kill count, and tonight, well, time to head back to The Exorcist with Exorcist III from 1990. So, time to take a little more true crime to this supernatural horror. So, if I remember correctly, this is Gemini killer territory, and I'm just gonna let this thing tell its story and how it was made. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's check it out. Bring it on.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at The Exorcist III, released in 1990. The Exorcist III ignores Part 2, The Heretic, only mentioning the McNeil family in passing. Instead, it focuses on Lieutenant William Kinderman, the cop from the first film, as he investigates a series of murders that may have been done by a serial killer who's been dead for 15 years. The film was written and directed by William Peter Blatty, the author of the Exorcist novel. He had a complicated relationship with his most famous creation.
The Exorcist has completely obliterated the work in which I'm frankly most interested.
Blatty and original Exorcist director William Friedkin had both declined involvement in Exorcist II. After that movie bombed, they tried to pitch Warner Brothers on their own sequel. The studio turned it down, so Blatty wrote it as a novel called Legion, published in 1983. It became a bestseller, giving him the leverage to make a movie based on the story. The Exorcist III is just as much a crime investigation film as it is a possession story. In fact, it's the perfect way to cap off our coverage of The Exorcist and the Hannibal film, since it feels like a combination of both. It's got priests and demons, sure, but it's also got a seriously sick serial killer who murders people in specific ways, and a detective trying to figure out exactly how he's doing it. It may be slow-paced and old-fashioned, but the performances
what do you expect from crime noirs?
Especially Brad Dourif in an inspired role. Plus, if you like to hear George C. Scott yelling at people, you're gonna have a great time.
Why are you encouraging this?
Shut your mouth! We're fine! You son of a bitch!
Add in one of the greatest jump scares of all time, and honestly, you've got a movie that I personally enjoy watching more than the first one. Can a serial killer succeed if... Oh,
what's wrong?
Sorry, 1 second. Getting a phone call. Oh. Hey, Zoran? Zoran, I can't hear you. I think my reception is spotty. Hold on.
Dude.
There we go. All right, you're on speaker, man. What's up? Oh, you're having a rough morning due to drinking? Yeah, I've been there. In fact, I was just there this past New Year's when I went to the Rose Bowl and saw Michigan beat Alabama.
Hey, go blue!
It was after our annual New Year's party, which can get pretty libatious. The game was a blast, but that party left me feeling rough. Now, in the past, I've tried everything to banish those post-drink difficulties. I've tried drinking coffee, dunking my head in ice water. Hell, I even tried exercising it. But nothing has worked better than today's sponsor, Z-Biotics.
That's a thing.
I said Z-Biotics. It's a pre-alcohol probiotic drink that is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Oh, how does it work? Let me tell you. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. So Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break that byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, Zoran, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So now, I can plan to enjoy my Saturday night and my Sunday morning confidently. Go to zbiotics.com/deadmeat to get 15% off your first order when you use dead meat at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/deadmeat and use the code deadmeat at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Can a serial killer succeed with General Patton hunting him down?
Let's go find out.
Get to the kills.
Well, so, horror film with some Exorcist elements. This ought to be interesting. And back to Z-Biotics. Gotta say, that's a first. You think they can back it up? I don't know. I've heard of those companies that, make those kind of claims. They don't really turn out well, but if this works, I'll be surprised. I mean, if you guys had it, let me know, because I'm really curious now. But anyways, see who's doing the Gemini killings. Let's get to Exorcist III. Bring it on!
The movie begins in a college town. You can tell by the college crew. It's Georgetown, in fact, a neighborhood in Washington, D.C. that had a Pazuzu problem 15 years ago today. A flashback reminds us of how that ended for Father Harris. They reshot this amazing stair stunt so they could have a longer, unbroken take, as opposed to the chopped-up version in the original. The poor stuntman had to do a second take after he landed too close to the camera the first time. Karras's death weighs heavily on Father Dyer and Lieutenant Kinderman, who often thinks of his good friend And memories ain't the only thing being stirred up. These church statues won't get Madonna bras, but they will get a gust of wind throwing shit all around. Calm down, wind, you're waking up Jesus! During the opening credits, someone stalks through the streets in first person while breathing heavily.
Flanders, huh?
We don't know who they are yet, but the next morning, a body is discovered in the Potomac River.
So
it's a local
mutilated,
12-year-old
decapitated,
boy
and
named
crucified
Thomas
off
Kinfrey,
screen.
who we saw
Yikes.
offering his killer a rose. Later, Kinderman reveals the ghastly details of Thomas's death.
Killer drove an ingot into each of his eyes
Ingot
Damn,
of
that's
what?
rough.
Soul?
and cut off his head.
Yeesh, talk about overkill.
The boy had been crucified.
Blasphemous too, okay.
Asshole.
In place of his head was the head from a statue of Christ,
Wow.
At least it can't get any worse.
Stop.
all done up in blackface.
Oh.
Oh no.
Please
Since
stop.
the Zodiac marking was found on Thomas's hand, Kinderman suspects the infamous Gemini killer was behind the murder. There's only one problem with that theory.
The Gemini killer's been dead for 15 years.
Wow, just like Father Karras. Ain't that right, Dyer? Oh, sorry.
Oops,
Too
sorry.
soon. Good thing Kinderman's here to help cheer Dyer up on this painful anniversary.
Today's my day to cheer up our friend, Father Dyer.
That's real nice, Bill. As long as someone looks out for you, too.
Every year on this day, he gets depressed, so I try to cheer him up.
Oh,
Thanks,
okay,
Papa.
yeah, that works. These two have a cute friendship with an annual movie night together. The first film established Kinderman as a fan of cinema when he invited Karras to the movies. Karras was never able to make that date on account of all those stairs, so Kinderman transferred his friendship to Dyer. This was actually shown in a deleted ending of the first film, which was reinstated in the 2000 re-release.
Father Dyer,
Father Dyer.
you go to films?
Want to see a film?
Even though both roles have been recast, it feels like a genuine lived-in friendship that makes this first act fun to watch. Both actors
That's
are
nice.
great at being grumpy old men.
I was signaling beings on Mars. Sometimes they answer.
What did you say to him? Jesus loves you, everyone else thinks you're an asshole.
Father Dyer is played by Ed Flanders,
Nice,
whose
Flanders.
core credits include Salem's
Of course.
Lot. Kinderman is played by
Yeah,
George
Lot.
C. Scott,
Salem's
who
Lot.
was in Firestarter and The Changeling, and who returned to the genre for this film because he liked Blatty's script.
I think the
Nice job,
quality of
buddy.
the writing far surpasses your basic normal horror picture, yeah.
His Kinderman
That's
has a
saying
more
a lot.
cynical edge than Lee J. Cobb's, but it makes sense with the added mileage. Also, it's pretty funny.
It is not in the file. It is not.
Across town, a different
Or
priest,
just-
Father Canavan,
Yikes.
settles in for another boring night of subpar penance.
Try to make a good confession.
I've been hearing shitty ones all day. The little old lady across from him complies with the strong tea, saying she's butchered 17 people, and adding a laugh that sounds like this. Which pretty much confirms
run?
the butchering part. As even more confirmation, she kills Father Canavan. The next
Yikes.
morning, the police find what's left of him, sliced up, asphyxiated, and beheaded, in no particular order. Most of this movie's deaths are off-screen like this. They did film a scene with the dead priest holding his decapitated head like a football helmet, but Blatty cut it because he wanted to avoid spinning heads and gore, preferring to keep this movie grounded and suspenseful.
This is a
You do realize you have a
supernatural
demon
murder
as the
A
bad
forensics
guy,
team connects
right?
the father's body to Thomas Kintrey, since the same
This
paralyzing
seems
drug
kinda dumb.
was found in both bloodstreams.
The kid couldn't move or scream while the killer was nailing and cutting him up.
Kinderman thinks that means they were both killed by the same person, but the fingerprints found at each crime scene don't match each other, suggesting there were different killers. Kinderman heads to the hospital,
odd.
where Dyer claims he's getting routine checkups despite his obvious case of the death coughs. Still has better blood pressure than his buddy, though.
Is everything all right in here, guys?
We're fine.
Kinderman's stress levels
Yeesh,
stay
calm
high
down,
even
bro.
when he sleeps. Maybe because his ballerina snow globe just got rosebudded. Oh shit, and his rosary gets rosebudded too? Rosary
Yeah,
budded? In his stress dream, he visits heaven, which I've always known is a
Eh?
place where nothing ever happens. But this is the exact opposite of that. This is everything happening. In this train station afterlife, music is played, tarot cards are dealt, and cameos are made, including Samuel L. Jackson,
Hey,
New
Jackson.
York Nick Patrick Ewing, and supermodel Fabio. What?
Fabio?
This Holy Sanctum
How?
was filmed in an abandoned cement factory outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. It was filled out with matte photography by DreamQuest Images, whose work we've seen on the channel.
Oh, hi, Deep Rising.
Thomas Kintrey is here too, stapled back together at the neck.
I'm so sorry you were murdered, Thomas. I miss you.
Kinderman doesn't put the pieces together though
what?
when he finds Father Dyer rocking the same affliction.
No, I wonder if both of us are dreaming this.
No, Bill. I'm not dreaming.
The dream super speeds into a nightmare where Dyer's getting Reagan with it, and Kinderman wakes up to a call from the hospital. Overnight, someone decapitated Father Dyer just like all the
Jesus.
others, but also drained his entire blood supply into bedside cups.
All of his blood.
All of it?
And not a drop of it spilled.
Not a drop spilled except for the writing on the wall that says, "It's a
It's a
wonderful,
wonderful
life."
life.
Kinderman asks a nurse named Allerton.
Okay, how? So, even I'm like, what the heck? I mean, we all know it's the demon, but still, what the heck? if I was like the detective, I'd be like, okay, the first one, probably just attacked him on the street, but still, yikes. Second one, sneak attack, easily. This, I would be like, what the? Did anyone get that on security camera? And also, all of it without a single drop spilled, as they say. How the heck are they doing that? Are they just like blood bending all of the blood out of his body? What? How? Why? Just, huh? You just have to ask, what the heck?
If she saw anything, employing his usual smooth talk.
No, not exactly.
Not exactly.
You know, the C stands for George Charmscott. The only person Allerton saw was Mrs. Clelia, a psych ward patient who thinks Kinderman is here to repair the invisible radio in her hands.
That's a telephone I'm holding.
Oh, I'm sorry, invisible
telephone?
Oh, that's why we did that sponsor bit. Later, Clelia's fingerprints were found on Dyer's body, but she's a little old lady with dementia. She can't be the killer. Hell, they don't even keep her in the scary part of the hospital.
What's this? It's the disturbed ward.
It just doesn't make sense for there to be different killers, since they were all murdered the same way. Kinderman's been doing hand checks on the bodies like a teacher during a field trip, and all three victims have had the index finger on their right hand missing and an astrological tattoo on their left palm. This was the calling card of the Gemini killer, but the thing is, that was never public knowledge.
Only Richmond Homicide knew that, no one else.
So yeah, something funky's going on. And it might be supernatural, since clocks are stopping, just like Father Marin saw in the first movie, and the local church all of a sudden has a statue of Saint Joker. Kinderman turns to the church for help, and a priest named Father Healy says the murders are connected to the exorcism of 75. Father Canavan was the one who okayed Karras to help the McNeils. Father Dyer was obviously close to the case in general, and Thomas Kintry's mother was the linguist who figured out that Reagan wasn't speaking in tongues.
The tape was really English in reverse.
Which, again, still impressive to me. Kinderman's called in for a meeting with Dr.
Talk about a lot of
Temple, the guy in
callbacks,
charge
you
of the
forget.
mental hospital. Temple is so nervous about what he's going to
next?
say, he has to rehearse it right up until Kinderman arrives. I love this scene and how much of a wreck this guy is, checking his notes while he's talking to Bill. Dude's so high-strung, he's chiefing on 2 cigs at once. Damn, man, you gonna put him in a gravity bong next? Temple's talk concerns a patient in the disturbed ward who just came out of a coma after 15 years. Earlier, we heard this patient X call out Kinderman's name.
Bill.
Turns out that's not the most interesting thing this guy has to say.
He says he's the Gemini killer.
Kinderman confronts the mystery patient and realizes who he is. Wait a second, is that? Holy shit, it is! Patient X is none other than Karras, Father! But he doesn't claim that name, and instead insists he's James Veneman, the Gemini killer who was executed 15 years ago. To prove it, he lists details of past crimes only he would know, but Kinderman still doesn't buy it because the Gemini killer is dead.
No, I am not! I'm alive!
With that outburst, we see Patient X take on the appearance of James Veneman. Just so you don't get confused, in reality, this is Father Karras' body. Jason Miller reprises the role from the original, and it's what the other characters would see if they looked at him. But we, the audience, and maybe Lieutenant Kinderman, I'm not sure, get to see his true form, the spirit of James Veneman, who resides inside. Veneman is played by Brad Dourif, who is, of course, the voice of Chucky.
What do you think?
In the flesh a few other times on this show. Originally, he was going to play the entire role himself, and a prologue would have retconned him as a recast Father Karras. After Dourif filmed his scenes, the studio decided they wanted Jason Miller to help market the movie. Unfortunately, Miller was struggling with alcoholism and couldn't handle all the lines.
There is a thing called wet brain.
Blatty came up with a solution of using both actors, so they called Dourif up and asked him to refilm these monologue-heavy scenes with only 2 days' notice. He did it, but says he prefers the original takes that were never used.
I personally don't like my acting.
Well, I like it enough for the both of us, Brad. All due respect to Miller, but Dourif is fucking incredible in this movie.
Did you know that you are talking to an artist?
It's probably my favorite performance from him, including his Oscar-nominated role
The One
in
Flew Over the
Cuckoo's Nest. Kinderman researches some of the ramblings in a really cool library. I love these shots looking up through the floor grates. He checks out the Roman ritual, the same book shown in the first movie. In fact, he looks at the same page that goes over the Catholic rite of exorcism. The book also name-drops Blatty's novel this movie is based on.
And he answered, Legion, for we are many.
Blatty wanted the film's title to be Legion like the novel, but Fox insisted on using the Exorcist label to market it better. Blatty was worried, perhaps rightfully, that it would hurt the movie because people would think of Exorcist II.
I haven't seen every movie ever made, but of all that I had, it was utterly the worst.
He was not alone in that opinion.
It was the biggest piece of shit probably ever made.
I'm not surprised the studio overrode
Yeah.
him, though,
Whoops.
since Blatty had only directed one feature before, the 9th Configuration, which was also kind of an Exorcist sequel. It followed that cocktail party astronaut from the first movie and included a lot of this movie's cast. Blatty's direction here feels Friedkin-inspired, which makes sense since they worked closely together on the first film. Lots of long static takes that feel very 70s. I think it works for this movie, though. The hospital staff is working...
Yeah, honestly, the whole, like, calling it Legion, like, I don't know. Like, if you're making an Exorcist sequel, I think I would have just called it The Exorcist Legion. I don't know. Like, I mean, I understand his worry with this whole, like, okay, if the second movie bombed, it's not going to work out well. But I guess in a way, it makes sense, because if I went to, like, a movie called Legion and realized, wait a minute, that's The Exorcist? Wouldn't they be, like, facing, like, mismarketing charges or something? I don't know. Like, I feel like that's what would happen, but to each their own, as they say. Moving along.
A late shift, setting us up for one of the greatest jump scares in all of horror history.
Hi!
Ah, poor Nurse Keating got the Red Cross scared off of her. But I don't know, that jump scare felt a little cheap. I don't think I'd call it one of the greatest jump scares.
There it is!
Oh, there it is! Nurse Keating gets beheaded in one of the best crafted moments of the film. Later, we're told she was slit down the middle and had her organs removed, Casey Becker style.
Yeah?
Only this kill went a step further, since her insides were replaced with rosary beads and she was sewn back up like a sacrilegious Build-A-Bear. Blatty had to fight to keep the camera still during this scene. And unused footage shows he got extra coverage just in case. I'm glad he didn't use any of these close-ups. The kill would not have been as memorable without the long shot. What makes it work so well is the unnerving hospital wing, which was built on a soundstage in North Carolina. Unlike most film sets, the rooms and corridors were actually connected. Production designer Leslie Dilley gave the illusion of further depth, with forced perspective hallways occupied by little people dressed as doctors. As for the murder weapon, it was a pair of bone-snapping shears that had no basis in actual medicine. They were a complete invention of assistant designer Darren Doctorman.
I got to design those shears. I don't know why anyone would use these.
Where did you even get the idea for
Kinderman
them?
arrives
That was like
for
a
another
battle
conversation
axe.
with Veneman, who says he wasn't ready to retire when they executed him in the electric chair.
There was still so much killing to do, and there I was, in the void, without a body.
His solution was to jump into Karras's body while he was on the brink of death. He's been dormant because it took 15 years to regenerate Karras's brain cells.
His brain was jelly.
Yeah, I wonder why. Possessing this priestly body was a
Yikes.
favor to Veneman's master Pazuzu, who wanted revenge for the exorcism of Reagan McNeil.
I was obliged to settle a score on behalf of Pazuzu. Well, a friend.
Instead of letting him die, Pazuzu and Veneman
Okay.
made Father Karras watch as they murder people.
He is inside with us! He will never get away!
I love how the camera
Yikes.
just holds on Durif for long, unbroken shots here, letting us lap
He
up
actually-
the absolute gold he serves.
As Karras was about to slip out of his body, is this true?
Damn,
The
you're gonna just see him
master
tearing up.
was slipping me in.
Veneman tells Kinderman what happened with Dr. Temple, who was just found dead in his office.
Bye, Temple.
Aw, now he'll never get the chance to finish reading all those stacks of newspapers.
Wolf.
The killer threatened the doctor with eternal pain if he didn't introduce him to Kinderman. After a nervous rehearsal, Temple obliged and told Kinderman to talk to Veneman, but he was eventually overwhelmed by the guilt. The serial killer's soul gets tuckered out and he takes a nap, so Kinderman sees Karras again. That is Dimmy, right? No! Oh,
Never mind.
The last thing Veneman says is that he's able to get out of his cell and kill people thanks to the help of old friends. Kinderman realizes he means that literally, referring to all the old people around him, particularly Mrs. Clelia. Now, where the heck can she be? Oh, there she is. Spider-Gram. Does
Whatever a
Spider-Gram
Spider-Gram does.
I love this creepy shot, which was done so simply. They combined footage shot on upside down and right side up versions of the set. Kinderman never sees Clelia up there, but he does find a dead nurse who's missing her uniform. Wait, was her bra stolen too, or did she just not
Okay, I was about to say, is her hand
He
going through her
realizes
body?
Veneman's soul has jumped into Mrs. Clelia, who's taken the nurse's outfit and escaped the hospital. This is why all the fingerprints have been different for each murder.
Oh, it's a
Veneman's
body
been
jumper.
body hopping to kill people for Pazuzu. Based on something Veneman told them earlier, Kinderman deduces his child is in danger. Just like Kevin Josh Graham! Since he can't reach his wife by phone, Bill speeds home with
Time to go.
reckless abandon in true Exorcist sequel fashion. When he gets there, he finds his loved one setting a place for the fake nurse.
So she's staying for dinner or what?
Plagueis seems okay for a beat before Venomman shears his true intentions.
I've been waiting for you, Lieutenant.
Thankfully, Granny Kinderman got some crazy reaction time. Wow. Venomman flings around the 5-0 and almost chokes Bill to death until something jolts his spirit back to the hospital. He was summoned back to his padded cell thanks to Father Morning. Yeah,
nice,
you know,
Morning.
Father Morning. Oh, wait, you don't know Father Morning? My bad.
Not really.
I should have mentioned him since he was in a few earlier scenes. But in my defense, they're entirely disconnected from the
just
rest of the film. He doesn't even interact with any of the other characters. These scenes were part of a reshoot and shoehorned in thanks to Studio Decree, who demanded Blatty add an exorcism to the end of his Exorcist movie. Father Morning is an experienced exorcist, which is why Pazuzu takes control from Venomman.
You again.
The basics for this ritual haven't changed much in 15 years, but the damned have gotten a way bigger budget for pyro. This old demon's got new tricks. He goes full Freddy on Morning's ass, gluing him to the ceiling and peeling him off like a bug on a windshield. Damn, that's gross. Kinderman arrives just in time to see Father Morning fall apart. Kinderman goes for a more direct approach, by which I mean shooting Pazuzu in the face. But the demon pins him to the wall and gives him evil belly rubs. Who's a good detective? Oh, you are. Yes, you are. We're all having fun here.
You son of a bitch!
Oh,
no, he ain't.
He doesn't like it. Kinderman finally prays to God for help, but faith isn't enough to save him from force lightning or building code violations. Damn, man, we're gonna need at least one property brother here. Stat. This effects crazy finale, complete with fire and live cobras, was another studio mandate. It cost $4 million and was filmed months after the rest of the movie was finished and edited. It required a full-size
I wonder how things would have ended in Legion. I'm curious now.
The stunt performers inside.
I would not have wanted to be any one of those guys. They had all the padding on and everything, but
Is that
it was
Terminator over
like
there?
the world's worst bucking bronco.
It also required a third actor to play Karras, the uncredited stunt double Charles Powell.
When he was made up, people would just, when we walked him around Hollywood Center studio, they were like, is that Jason?
His makeup and the demonic look on Miller was designed by Greg Canham, whose work has been popping up a lot on the show lately. The cast and crew were unhappy about the reshoot, much preferring Blatty's simpler original ending. George C. Scott compared the studio version to a Madonna music video. Is that supposed to be an insult? Have you seen Vogue, dude? MTV hell opens wide to swallow the detective, but the still living Father Morning throws a Hail Mary. He encourages Father Karras to fight for his soul, but since this is the last we see him, I'm gonna put Father Morning on the couch.
Sorry, Morning.
I just don't think you can survive all
well,
this.
yeah.
Karras complies and breaks Pazuzu and Venomman's spell for a moment.
Bill, now! Shoot now!
Kinderman unloads it.
Okay, there you go. Bye-bye.
His body and soul from the dead and the damned. Painful end.
See you, Karras.
He's been put out of 15 years misery. The movie ends with Kinderman visiting Karras' grave, where we see his tombstone has backdated his death. How many kills can you get remote piloting bodies from a padded cell? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
I think only about 5 or what?
Wait, wasn't there a...
Uh-oh. Watch your back.
I counted 8 kills in The Exorcist III, including finally catching up with Father Karras. The victims included 6 men and 2 women, a 3-to-1 ratio of dudes, and continues the franchise's trend of having more kills with each installment. With a runtime of 110 minutes, we had a kill on average every 13.75 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Nurse Keating. Even though it's technically off screen, I'd argue this kill alone is responsible for a lot of this movie's modern reappraisal. Dog Machete for lamest kill goes to the unnamed nurse, whose dead body was found
just out of nowhere.
Uniform and her dignity. And that's it. The Exorcist III came out in 1990 to mixed reviews and a middling box office, but it has gotten a lot more love in recent years. We're done exercising for now. Next week, we're looking at a spectacle. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Ladies and gentlemen, little meaties and little meatettes, welcome to the ultimate Kill Count experience. We're covering an absolute spectacle like no
one has ever seen.
It's real. Yes, sir, it is. It even won our Prime Rib Award for Best Original Picture.
He's right.
So, let me tell you a story about this horror film. It's not a reboot or a sequel or some feature-length version of a CW show.
Nope.
Fucking CW. It's a wholly original idea from the brilliant mind of Jordan Peele. Thumbs up. This is the story of a hard-working horse wrangling family.
We like to say since the moment pictures could move, we had skin in the game.
They suffer a tragedy and a miracle at the same time.
What's a bad miracle?
There isn't one, my friend, but there is a damn good movie here, and its name is...
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope. Nope.
That's right, Nope. A movie with fun characters played by great actors. I was a little juke.
Ah, dude, you were literally my favorite.
Rich themes of animal exploitation and overcoming trauma.
Nobody fucks with A-Wood, bitch.
And of course, If you look up in the
sky,
sky, squint your eyes, you'll see the main attraction, unidentified flying objects.
It's fucking UAPs now.
Why do you gotta change
UAPs?
Nope is an epic adventure horror film, inspired by and just as good as Jaws.
It's impossible.
Hey,
you'll
that's
see.
Just my opinion, man. You can form your own, of course, by watching Jordan
Peele's
Peele's
Nope
this week.
Take a look at all of that.
Then on Friday, put on your best Scorpion King hoodie and watch the kill count. Only on
Dead Meat.
Let's go, boy!
No, currently you watch them.
Got a little the bond between the siblings here. Though they may bicker, they'll be with each other until the very end. Take it down, that UFO. There's a little twist to that. It's as Jordan Peele's, usual MO. We'll see that next time. Till then, adios.